Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Now, I've been working on a BMW E70 X5 with the M57 3-litre diesel engine, and you may notice a DPF downpipe sitting right next to me here. And I've spent the last couple of days removing this thing. I've removed it because I want to give it a good clean. Yes, I've definitely given it a good clean. So that's all done now, but I'm going to explain and show you exactly how I came about removing this thing, because let's just say the past couple of days have not been fun. I'm 6'4", and the space when it comes to removing this, there's not a lot of it. So yeah, hopefully some of the things that I'm going to go over in this video will save you some of the pain that I've suffered over the past couple of days, like I said. And yeah, if you don't have a lot of patience, if you don't like working in tight spaces, this job is definitely not for you. Bear in mind, I've done all of this. I've removed this from the car while lying on the floor. I don't have a lift. It would have been a little bit easier, I think, if I had a lift, but unfortunately I don't have that luxury at the moment. I've just been lying on the floor on my back, twisting my neck in all different types of places, and yeah, I managed to get it removed anyway. But yeah, enough talking, let me just show you exactly what I've been doing. Okay then, real quick, let me just show you the inside of the downpipe, which contains the catalytic converter and the DPF. As you can see, it's nice and clean now. It came up quite well with just a bit of hot soapy water. If you want to see a video of how I clean these DPFs, there will be a link down in the description box below. But without further ado, let's head outside and let's show you exactly what I've been up to. Okay then, so you'll probably notice we have a red bar as such on the front of the car. Now, this is not necessary. You don't need to have this. It's an engine support for those that don't know. But in my opinion, it is going to make your life a little bit easier, and it's safer having one of these as opposed to jacking up the engine, just off on the floor. And you will have a little bit more room to wiggle around underneath the car as well. So when it comes to setting up one of these engine supports, you usually are supposed to have it on the edge of the wings. Do not do that on an E70 X5, you'll just crush the wing. Have it on the chassis legs themselves. As you can see, there's one foot, and the other foot is just sitting right there. I did also have to remove the nut for the grounding point, but yeah, that fits in there quite nicely. And of course, the hook has just gone through the front engine lifting mount there. Now, why do we have to lift up the engine? I will get to that, but let me just explain first and foremost what I've done to get to this stage, essentially. So, what you're going to want to do is unbolt the exhaust, the entire exhaust from the DPF downpipe. So I've taken off all of the brackets and the mounts and just slid the exhaust all the way to the other side of the car and back as far as it will go. So you have to remove this bracket. I wouldn't advise trying to reuse this. It's just going to get bent out of shape. It might break, but yeah, I have a brand new one of these to go on, so I would factor that in. I'd always replace that. If you are doing this job yourself, then yeah, we just have a bunch of 13mm nuts. Also a bolt as well. And so once we have the exhaust down and away from the downpipe, we can unbolt the DPF itself. So it's held in by this bracket. So we'll have a 13mm bolt just here, and then two Torx bolts. You can remove them from the oil pan. Then we also have another 13mm bolt at the top of the DPF. Of course, at the top, remove all of the sensors as well, and also remove the V-band clamp where it clamps onto the turbo itself. It's easier to do that from below though. And then once the DPF itself is loose, you won't be able to remove it from the car. There'll be like next to no gap to get it through. So you are going to have to remove both the engine mount itself and the engine mount bracket. Now this is why we have to lift up the engine. So first thing you're going to want to do is loosen and remove this 18mm nut on the engine mount itself. I actually removed it off both engine mounts just so I could lift up the engine that slight bit more, just to give myself a little bit more room. And then once you get the engine off of the mount, you're also going to want to remove the bolts that hold the engine mount to the subframe, and then the entire engine mount then should be loose. Oh, you're also going to want to remove a vacuum hose as well. That's important, don't miss that. You don't want to snap it. And then once this is loose, you're then also going to want to remove this engine mount bracket. Now 3 of these bolts, these are all 16mm bolts, there is 4 in total. 3 of them will be relatively easy to get to with a ratchet and an extension, but this one on the top is going to be an absolute nightmare. So how I found it easiest to access this bolt was lifting the DPF itself up as high as it would go and twisting it at an angle just to create some space between the DPF of the downpipe and this bracket, because as it sits usually in the car, it's like right against it and you cannot get a socket onto that bolt at all. Then there will be one of these splash shields on this side. Completely remove that, and then you should be able to access that hidden bolt then. So once all of the bolts are removed, you're still not going to be able to remove the bracket or the engine mount itself from the car. You're going to want to remove all 3 bolts, all 3 21mm bolts from the subframe itself. You'll then be able to drop the subframe down maybe 2 inches. I also loosened off the other side as well, the other 3 main subframe bolts. So there is one there, I think one there, and then like one at the back. Of course, don't remove this side completely because the subframe may drop on you and that wouldn't be fun. I don't think it'll drop all the way down because of the control arms, but just to be safe, you know, don't remove all of the bolts completely. Just leave them like, you know, a quarter or half of the threads still in the holes. But once the subframe is down, the engine is up, you then should have enough room to maneuver the engine mount bracket, and of course the DPF itself out. Now of course, when you are swapping out the DPF downpipe, you're going to want to use a new gasket, nice O-ring one there, and then we have, like I said, a brand new clamp as well, exactly the same as the original, and it should work quite well. Now then, I'm sure I've made it sound a lot easier than it was. In reality, like I said, it took me a couple of full days, and yeah, it's been painful. I've busted up my knuckles. It really just hasn't been fun. I don't think I'll ever do this job again. This isn't even my car, by the way. This is a friend's car. I'm doing a couple of jobs for him. So I've done EGR cooler deletes, swapped out the intake manifold. I've done glow plug module and all that good stuff as well. And then a couple of the small little jobs as well. But yeah, if you are doing this yourself, good luck. Like I said, it's not something you're gonna get done in a couple of hours, especially if you are doing it on the floor. If you have access to a lift, use it, because it is going to help you. It means that you're not going to have to roll around when you haven't got like any space to maneuver. But yeah, just good luck if you're doing this yourself. But yeah, I guess I will get the downpipe back in place, and then we'll see how we're looking once we're all buttoned up. Okay then, so as we can see, the BMW X5 is now back on the ground. Exhaust is reinstalled. All of the mounts are refitted. Of course, everything in the engine bay now put back together. The downpipe obviously reinstalled, reconnected back to the turbo, all of the engine covers reinstalled. Everything has been thoroughly cleaned as well. Now it has taken me a good 2 to 3 days to put everything back, to get the downpipe back into position. It was, yeah, pretty much the same job again when it came to removal. So awkward to try and do it by yourself. It would be so much easier if you had someone from the top holding the downpipe in position while you try and get the engine mount and the engine mount bracket back in place. Yeah, it's a total pain to try and do this on your own on the driveway, you know, without a lift. But we managed to get it done anyway. Like I said, everything is now back in place. All of the sensors are now back in place, temperature sensors, pressure sensor as well, that is plugged back in. So we should be now pretty much good to go. We just need to take this thing for a test drive, make sure everything is okay, and then we can yeah, wrap this job up. Okay then, so job done finally. It's been a good solid week just to replace this DPF and to gut it and all the rest of it and to put everything back. It's been an absolute nightmare on this X5. I apologise that this video hasn't been an in-depth, you know, how-to, you know, with a step-by-step guide, what I usually do on this channel. The reason for that is because I actually wouldn't recommend anyone else doing this. If you have an X5, I wouldn't recommend doing this on the driveway as I have done it. I wouldn't recommend putting yourself through the pain. You know, if you do have access to a lift, like I said, it is going to be a little bit easier, but you are still going to need, you know, 4 sets of arms, 7 legs, and a lot of patience. But yeah, we managed to get it done in the end anyway. It's another job ticked off the list. Now, why should you remove your DPF, or you know, why did I remove this DPF and catalytic converter in our case as well? Essentially, it's just another thing that can fail, and it's not really a case of if it will fail, it's a case of when it will fail. Because you know, when you have a diesel that has covered over 100,000 miles, you really are on borrowed time when it comes to the DPF, and a DPF replacement is not cheap, especially when it comes to BMW. Like for a genuine BMW DPF, you're talking thousands, and the labour to get it swapped out, again, you're probably talking the best part of £1,000 again. So yeah, it could be a very costly bill in the future. With it being removed, with it being gutted, it's just another thing that you know, can't crop up. And for those that are wondering, do you have to get it mapped out? Yes, you do have to get it mapped out, you know, along with an EGR delete if you are removing the EGR as well. Now, another common question, can you pass an MOT with a DPF removed? Technically, no. You're not supposed to pass an MOT or an inspection with the DPF removed. But if you have a healthy engine, you know, you don't have any issues, you're not burning oil or anything like that, there's no reason why you shouldn't pass an MOT. I've passed loads of MOTs absolutely fine with the DPF removed. It comes down to, essentially it comes down to if you have a healthy engine. Like I said, you're not burning oil, you don't have an absolute clogged to death intake manifold, which, you know, obviously we've replaced the intake manifold, we've cleaned out the intake ports, so we shouldn't be, you know, causing any smoke. Like I said, I do just need to take it for a test drive just to make sure everything is okay, but I don't see why not. Yeah, I guess we just need to get it booked in to have it remapped, get it tuned, get the EGR, the DPF coded out. But yeah, hopefully this video has been somewhat helpful. Like I said, if you are insane enough and patient enough to attempt this on your X5, good luck. You're going to need a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of space, hopefully better weather than I've experienced, and yeah, just good luck, because this has been one of the worst jobs I've ever done. I hate working in small spaces as it is. As I said, I'm 6'4". I don't really have claustrophobia, but yeah, I'd rather not work in a tight space if I'm honest. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm not going to complain anymore. This car nearly has been the death of me, but yeah, hopefully you all have enjoyed this video. Anyway, please give it a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you have not already done so, and I'll see you all in that next one. Peace!